Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day. So it's been about 2 weeks and I wanted to make sure this had enough time to dry completely. So, probably 1 to 2 weeks. These pockets, when you make do the biscuit joints, they do have a lot of glue in them. So I just like to be on the safe side and give it at least a week. But in this case, like I said, it's been about 2 weeks. So just a quick recap on what we did last time. So these were 2x6s. And we ripped the edges off of each 2x6 on the table saw to take off that round over, and then used the planer to make sure the edges were smooth and flush. And then we took them in here and put some slots in them for the biscuit joints, clamped them together after I cut them to length, obviously. Clamped them together, and that was the last video. So today what we're going to do is we're going to start off with using my chisel, and we're going to remove all this glue from both sides of each one. And then what I'm going to have to do is take it outside and do a bunch of sanding. This one turned out really well, and once I get the glue off I can show you a little bit better. This one is not going to need much sanding at all. This one's going to need a little bit more because of that problem that I had where I forgot to cut one of the slots, and it ended up being mismatched a little bit because I had to put the slot in later. But it's not a big deal for what we're doing here. So with that, we are going to get started. Alright, so what I've done is I've just put a little towel under here. If you can't, there. I put a little towel underneath it just to help keep it from sliding so much. And we just take the chisel and go here and chisel up the glue. I'm going to get a smaller chisel. And that's just how it's going to be going this whole way, so I'm going to probably fast forward this section for you to save you some time. I'm just looking to get the biggest pieces out. This smaller stuff here is not really a big deal. We just want to get the bigger chunks out so it's just quicker when you go to sand it. Okay, so small disclaimer that I forgot to mention before. If you have a planer, like a really wide planer, you know, that you could feed this whole board through, that's the ideal situation. You could just plane the whole top and bottom of it, and you don't have to worry about any of this if you're doing that, because the planer will just get rid of that glue for you, and make the whole, you know, top and bottom perfectly flat at the same time. So that's the ideal method. Obviously, those are several $1,000s. I don't have one, so I can't do that. So the next best thing would be to just wipe it down. After you've glued everything up, wipe them down, and you know, that's probably the easiest way to do. And then, you know, over time, it's still, even if you wipe it, some glue will still seep out after a while, but it won't be nearly as bad as this. It'll just be like little tiny dots here and there. And then, of course, the third method would be to do what I'm doing here, which is not ideal. If you're going to be doing something that's like finish grade work, countertop or whatever, you don't want to do it this way, because this is, you know, when you're running the chisel across here, you're going to be making marks and cuts. Even if you're really careful, there's still going to be spots where you nick the wood or here and there. And of course, that can be fixed with sanding, which is what I'm going to do. But it's just not ideal depending on your situation. I mean, this is 2x6 material, so there's a ton of material thickness wise, so it's not a big deal. I'm just sanding this down with 60 grit sandpaper here soon, and that'll take care of it. But if you're doing something, you know, really thin material, you don't want to be wasting material like that. So it just depends on your situation. This is not technically a teaching channel. I'm just kind of taking you along as I do cool things. So I'm just doing what I do. Not really, you know, these aren't quote unquote the correct way. In my opinion, there's no correct way to do anything. It's if you get to the end result, if you can get to the end result and it's what you wanted, that was the right way. So I mean, there's a million different ways to do every woodworking project. You know, whatever way gets you there, and if it's a finished result that you like, then that's good. So that's my 2 cents anyways. On to the next over there. Alright, so now that both of those are done, I'll take you through here and you can see on this one, it's pretty much perfect. The biscuit joints made the top very flat, flush, and it's good. That's what biscuit joints do. When you don't forget to, drill out one of the pockets. Yeah. But no, it's not. Like I said, it's not a big deal. I explained that on the last video for what we're doing. It's not a big deal. And even if this was, it has to be perfect. It's not a big deal. You can fix it. So, but yeah, this one's also pretty good, except for this spot. So, and that's why we see a bunch of glue here, because I can't really get to that very well because of the lip there. So that's just going to have to be a lot of sanding on this one. But that's what we got 60 grit sandpaper for. So there's the other side. And off camera I went ahead and did the edges as well. Got the glue off of those because there was some there too. And the other reason why you want to make sure they're lined up pretty close is so that the edges are all matched. And that's another easy thing to take care of if the edges don't match perfect. I mean, if they're off a little bit like this, that's like barely anything. But if they're off like that, all you have to do is you can do it with a sander, or if you've got a hand planer like I do, that'll take care of it as well. A few passes. So next we are going to do a lot of sanding. We're moving that outside because I do not want that dust in here. I do have an air filter in here, but it's nice weather outside, so I'm just going to do the sanding outside. See you there. Alright, we are ready to start sanding. So again, we've got the towel here, and this time it serves a couple purposes. One, it helps keep the board from moving while I'm sanding. And the second, if you're working on something that you want to keep nice and you don't want to scuff up or dent up the bottom side of it while you're sanding the top side, the towel helps with that too. So with that, we're going to get started sanding. Show you this for a little bit, and then I'll probably turn the camera off and get the rest done off camera, because this is going to take a little while. Alright, so we've made some significant progress. You can see this lip here is way less pronounced than it was before. It's almost done. Needs a little bit more, but yep, it's getting pretty close. The other thing with biscuit joints, whenever you've got your lines going, they're really good indicators on whenever you're done sanding an area, because they kind of tell which side is higher than the other. So like you kind of see here, this side's pretty much gone, but this side is still slightly here. So we've got to keep sanding until that's done. And it feels flush to my finger. Like it doesn't even feel like it's uneven, but it is, because you've got your line still here. Kind of like on this one, this side is totally gone, but this side isn't. And so this one I can kind of feel a little bit. That's not flush, but that's just, one of the things I use these lines for. Again, besides just obviously lining up whenever you go to make your slot cut, it's great for whenever you're sanding. So I'm going to get some more of that done. And this is the bad piece, the piece that was messed up, so it's actually coming along a little bit quicker than I thought with that 60 grit. So we're going to keep on hitting it with that. Alright, and now this side is done. You can see all of the lines are gone. The little marks, the pencil marks. And this side is very smooth now. We can see the difference here. If we look at the top edge versus the bottom edge, the glue's kind of taking some of it, but see that bottom edge, you can see where it's not even, but the top edge is now. So that's what we're doing on these. So I'm gonna do the rest of this off camera, and I will bring you back once all 4 sides are done and back in the shop. See you then. Alright, so that planer did pretty good at smoothing all this over, all the glue off of there, and made these smooth. The only problem was the end where it chipped out, which is pretty common because on cheap wood like this to happen. So that can be fixed, which with I'm going to put some glue in there and clamp it down and let that dry, and then it'll be like it never happened. But yeah, that is definitely a risk when doing this with the planer instead of a sander. But sanding end grain takes a lot longer than sanding, like the face. So to sand this down, it would have taken a long time, and the planer took 2 seconds. So it is what it is. Alright, so we're back in the shop and everything's sanded, ready to go, super smooth, happy, ends planed. We've got a few edges, like this one chipped out pretty bad and it took chunks out. So, and I think one way you can kind of help prevent that is if you put masking tape over the end before you do it. Obviously I didn't because I wasn't thinking about it. As I've said before on this project, it's not a beautiful project. It's not meant to be a showpiece. It's not a table or anything like that. It's just a cart that's going to be used around the shop and around the yard and whatnot to move stuff around. So it's not imperative that everything is perfect on this. I do want it to be pretty nice, but it doesn't have to be perfect. So this one's got a little bit of chip on it. So we're going to take care of that. And this side had another where the chips blew out, so they're not there anymore to glue back in. So we're going to go around, we're going to glue that corner and this corner. Those are the only 2 corners we can fix. And then as far as this, it's either going to stay like that or I'll figure something out. I'll probably think on it overnight and decide what I want to do. I'm already kind of possibly changing part of the design. I'm not quite sure yet though, so more to come on that. Anyways, let's get started on gluing this up. Alright, we're just going to pull this apart and put a little glue in there. And I've got this really thin strip of wood. I'm just going to kind of push the glue down in there with that. If you have a needle and syringe, I mean, if you happen to have one around that's specifically for doing stuff like this, you can use it to put the glue in there. I don't, because that's just such a rare occurrence that I ever would need it. It's not something I really keep around. This glue bottle's almost empty. But I'm just going to get a little bit more in there. Probably overkill, but it will be plenty. And then I'll have to sand this again, this little corner, once this is dry. Alright, now that that's in there, I'm going to take a paper towel and just kind of clean up some of that excess. Then get a piece of this masking tape. And before I put the masking tape on, I'm just going to push this together and get more of this glue that's coming out. So now that's pretty good. There's still going to be more that squeezes out, but this will have most of it. And masking tape. And that will hold it in place good enough for it to dry completely. So there you go. We will go work on the other one now. Alright, on this one we've got some chunks that flew out and didn't stay, so it won't be perfect, but it'll be slightly better than what it is now. This one, since it's much further out, or I can pull it much further out, and it's only a small thin strip, I probably don't need the wood piece to push it in there. Maybe I do for this back portion. And this is actually two pieces, two strips that are chipped, so I'm going to put some glue in between those. Alright, that should be good enough. Clean up some of the extra glue. And just get a piece of tape on this one. And that's it for that one. So with as little glue as that is, it'd probably be fine after 24 hours. Really, probably even less than that. So I will probably get back out here tomorrow to take that tape off, do a little sanding on this, and then we will continue on to the next step, which I am not 100% sure what the next step is yet, because I've kind of, in my mind, changed what I want to do with this a little bit, and I'm just going to think about it tonight and see how I want to proceed. But initially, I'm getting one of these 2x4s. I was thinking about doing mortise and tenon. So the 2x4 legs would be, like this on each corner, and this would be the bottom, and then there'd be, another one higher up that the 2x4s would connect, and you'd have the slots here for these to go into. But I'm kind of thinking now that I'm not 100% sure that I still want to do that, because it's just adding a lot more time and labor involved to something it's not structural, it's not critical that it be mega strong. So I'm kind of debating if I want to instead do kind of what I did on this workbench here, So you see there's a couple screw holes. What I did on this workbench is I put everything together with glue in these 3-inch, 3.5-inch screws. So it's extremely strong and sturdy, stable because of the glue. The screws pulled it together, and I put ample amounts of glue in this thing, so it's very sturdy on the top end, the bottom legs, everywhere. So I'm kind of considering doing that for this because it'll just save so much time and labor, and for something that's just, like I said, I mean, Morrison tendon is great, very strong, but in reality, this push cart, how much abuse is it going to really take? It just doesn't seem to me like it's going to be a benefit for the amount of labor involved. So anyways, I'm going to think about that overnight, and not sure if this is going to be the end of this video with a start to another one, or if I'm just going to continue on. It depends on how much footage I have so far. But if this is the end of this video, I thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you next time. If it's not the end, then you will know here in about 2 seconds. So I will catch you guys next time.